Happy Easter, everyone. Welcome back to our special Messy Church Online for Easter Sunday. I guess you might have had an Easter egg or two already, but well done to any of you that have managed to wait before digging into all that scrummy chocolate. Don't eat them all at once. So why do we have Easter eggs? There are lots of different reasons, but the most important is that they remind us of what happened on Easter Sunday. Mary Magdalene was one of Jesus' closest friends and witnessed the events of that first Easter. So let's hear our story for today. Mary Magdalene had been there through it all. Jesus riding on a donkey into Jerusalem, the crowd welcoming their Saviour. She had seen the teaching that we had to love God and love other people. Teaching using stories and teaching to tell us that even the most important person had to act as a servant. She knew that his body and blood would be given up as a punishment for all of our wrongs. She had seen him pray and pray and pray for himself, the disciples, and for all the believers. She had seen the arrest, trials, the beating, the mocking, the road to the hill, those 3 crosses, with Jesus on the middle one suffering before saying, "It is finished." Then he died. Jesus' body was wrapped in strips of cloth and taken to a tomb in a garden. The tomb was sealed with a big stone. That was the first day. Mary had been with Jesus' friends on the second day. They could not do anything, as it was the Sabbath, the day of rest. On the third day, Mary headed to the tomb early, before sunrise. Slowly approaching, she saw the stone had been rolled away and the tomb was empty. Mary ran back to the disciples. Finding Peter and John, she told them, "They have taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we don't know where he is." Peter and John raced to the garden. John stopped outside, looking at the cloths lying there. Peter just went in. They didn't know what had happened, so went back to their homes to stay safe. Mary stayed in the garden, crying outside the tomb. Looking up, she saw 2 angels sitting where Jesus' body had been. They asked her, "Why are you crying?" "They've taken him away. I don't know where to." Turning around, Mary saw a man. She thought it was the gardener. He said, "Why are you crying? Who are you looking for?" Mary asked him, "Where have they put him?" The man just said, "Mary." And that was enough. She knew it was Jesus. He had come back from the dead. She cried out, "Master!" So, Mary Magdalene was the first to see Jesus after he came back to life. But why did this happen? Well, Jesus had told his friends that he would be killed and that 3 days later he would live again. In our story, Peter and John had either forgotten this or hadn't worked out what was happening. It certainly wasn't usual for someone to come back to life. But Mary had waited, and Jesus found her. Of course, Mary wasn't sure. She thought that Jesus was the gardener. That was much more likely than it being her friend who she'd seen die. But all it took was one word, and Mary knew it was Jesus. The other reason that Jesus came back to life is the more important one. It is really easy to think that dying is the end. If you have a plant in the garden that you forget to water, it eventually dies, and nothing you can do can bring it back. Jesus proved that dying is not the end. For us, that means that if we choose to be Jesus' friend, then we can be with him on earth and in heaven. Now, back to your Easter eggs. Why do we have Easter eggs, apart from just liking chocolate? Well, there are a few reasons. One is that an egg represents new life, and that we can choose to live our new lives with Jesus forever. Another is that the egg reminds us of the stone that was rolled away. The last reason is that the inside of an egg reminds us of the empty tomb. Let's say a short prayer for Easter Sunday. Dear God, thank you that Jesus lived on earth so we could learn to be his friend. Thank you that he died and came back to life so we can be his friend forever. Sorry that we sometimes forget to be Jesus' friend. Please help me to remember and to do better next time. Thank you for my friends and family. Please keep them safe, even though we can't see them much at the moment. Thank you for all the people that are working so hard at the moment to keep the world safe from this virus. Please keep them healthy and strong so they can protect us. Amen. We hope you've been able to take a look at some of the songs we have linked to on our Facebook post. Have you been doing the actions? Can you remember them? Or perhaps you're worn out from too much PE with Joe. We have a couple of craft ideas for you today. You could try cutting out and colouring a thank you egg to go in your window so that people who pass your house or who make deliveries or collect your bins know how grateful you are. Make sure the colours are nice and bright and that the thank you is really clear to read. Another idea is to make a family from eggs. If you've eaten a boiled egg carefully, you can use the leftover shell. Otherwise, ask your family to help you colour in some eggs with felt tip pens. Hard boiling the eggs first is a good idea, and you can still eat them after you've coloured them in. Here's a photo of Cara's egg family from a few years ago. Can you guess which egg is her? You can't tell from the height. We hope you have a good week. If you're treating this week like a school holiday, have a great time. If you're working, be good, work hard, and try to be nice to the rest of your family. That is what Jesus would want you to do. Try to stay safe, wash your hands lots, and look after each other. We'll be back soon for our next Messy Church Online. See you then.